Hello, I'm the official name rater. My job is to look through the first page of Google, review the nicknames provided by the internet, and then give my recommendations at the end. Today we're looking at, it's pronounced Misdreavus and Mismagius. I think Misdreavus sounds a little bit better, but that's just me. I want to bring attention to this because this is just hilarious. Today we're looking at Mr. Rivas and Miss Magia. Sand, if you're going to be one of those people. Like, you know what that's based off of? The captions. Your ideas and suggestions are for Misdreavus, because I've been saying it the Miss Travis. Miss Travis. Okay, let's take a look at Miss Travis. But actually, before we do that, reminder: this video right here will be listed in the description below if you want to look at it in its entirety. We also have an update including Flutter main as well, so we're looking at Flutter main 2 today. I don't know how you're gonna like start the joke there with misdemeanors and misdemeanor, and then have a girl and not just call it misdemeanor. Like you kind of fucking broke your leg there when you were walking up the stairs, my dude. Misdemeanor is off of a 80s cartoon. I think it's called Cops or some shit like that. I think it's one of like the cleverest names out there. Like she's meant to be a bad guy or some shit. But I love that name. I think it's really fucking clever. Misdemeanor. I don't think it fits Mismagius at all, but just talking. Asparageist is a good one for a shiny Mismagius. Affection. You have 3 guesses to guess the origin of that. First 2 don't count. So, someone actually pointed out, because I forgot it, affection comes from Chuck Conroy, because the whole joke was his Coliseum Let's Play, where it's like, if they're using attacks that don't affect Misdreavus, you get it? There you go. I watched that, but I legitimately forgot about it. Like, I don't even know how many years ago that was at this point. But also, I'm just going to be real and say a lot of Chugga's nicknames aren't particularly that great. It's pretty forgettable. Banshee was what I had for my Misdreavus for a little while, and it was something I took off Pokemon.net. Misdreavus is referred to as the Screech Pokemon, so it just kind of makes sense. In the original video, I talk about how it's a popular choice, which, it makes sense. I don't have any particular problem with it, but I personally switched mine over to Teehee from Banjo-Kazooie, because I just think that name's better, hoping I can find myself a shiny Misdreavus, so this way I can name it that, and it'll be great, because it'll be green and named Teehee and Ghost. Doesn't have to be, but that's just personally what I think is a good choice. Also, another alternative, because we're on the subject, Cackle from Donkey Kong Country 2 is another good choice. I don't know if we're ever going to find something that's going to resemble Cackle a bit more, but in the same sense of Teehee, Screech, and Laugh, it's all there. Why the fuck did reading this make me think of the Sorting Hat from Harry Potter? Does the Sorting Hat have a name? Morgan Le Fay, if it can fit. Morgana, the former, yeah. Morgan Le Fay is a famous witch. It's actually kind of funny. In Phoenix Wright, the fucking Fay family is based off Morgan Le Fay. My dumbass didn't even draw the parallels until someone pointed it out. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not particularly special to me. I'm going to be real and say, fuck Winifred. Hocus Pocus is just a better name. I like Hocus Pocus. On the subject, Jeepers Creepers. There's another one. I don't think that's going to fit, but just an idea. Maybe Pokemon Go will let you do it. Bathsheba. Yeah, it's got to be Bathsheba. How else could you say it? I don't like that name. I like the name The Conjuring. That sounds nice. Pretty sure there's also a Megadeth song called The Conjuring, or just Conjuring or something like that, where he uses like actual lyrics and like demonic or some shit. And I think that's a cool thing, but he doesn't like that song and doesn't perform it anymore because he's like a changed man or some shit. And The Conjuring just sounds nice. Just an idea. Cereza, after the witch that uses her hair to summon demons. That is in reference to Bayonetta. Bayonetta is one apparently I mentioned in the original episode, but I don't know if I mentioned Cereza. So, there's an idea for you. Cereza is not a very common name, so... Oh look, Hocus Pocus, except it has K's. Is it spelled like that? Is that real? Am I crazy? No, they're just fucking dumb as shit and don't know how to spell. Got it. Alright. Anyway, the one above it, what drew my attention first, Hermione, we mentioned that in the original video. Get it? It's a witch. It's famous. Mismagius has a witch hat. Do you understand it? Cool. I don't think it's particularly special as a name at all. Just gonna be real. I know that Hermione is like a one-of-a-kind name that literally did not exist prior to Harry Potter, but it just still doesn't scratch that itch for me. Bellatrix is also another one that was mentioned in the original episode, and I think someone posted a comment. My guy said Bellatrix looks hot. fucking did. I talked about it. I remember seeing, what was it, the 5th movie? That's like Tim Burton's wife, and I was just like, yeah, I'd put my dick in that. Bellatrix is a good name, though. That one scratches that itch a lot better for me than Hermione does. Malice is a nice generic Binding of Isaac Bayonetta style nickname. I personally use it for my Salandit. I think it's just because I literally had nothing else better going for it, and it kind of had that malicious appearance to it, I suppose. On the subject, also, since we're still kind of lingering off Harry Potter, Dementor is another idea for you. Despair also works, similar to Malice, Binding of Isaac Bayonetta style name. For me, when I think of Despair, the first thing I think of is that demon guy from the Xena Titus video game for the N64. I don't know if he shows up in the show or not, but Despair's a good name that should definitely be used if I don't already have that written down. Midna was another one that I remember from the... Did I remember it? Or is it just like... It's one of the chapters? Midna, right there. Look, you can even see on the Pokemon.net that we mentioned Midna. I don't have a problem with it, but it doesn't strike me. I don't mind the idea of Ego as a nickname, but I feel like if you're going to do that, you should pair it with id. So, if you want to do Ego and id, and like you do Mismagius and Flutter main, that could technically work, but my first thought was like Plusle and Minun. Mischief is also not a bad name, Binding of Isaac Bayonetta style, but I feel like it's kind of half of its name anyway, so I wouldn't put it here. Maybe put it somewhere else. Was Napstablook there originally? Yeah, that's Mismagius. I feel like we've not seen Napstablook until Paldea, and now we're seeing it a bunch, so I don't know what's going on here. But sure, we keep talking about that, and I don't mind it. Maybe the best choice, I think, would be Mimikyu, because he's what, just a sheet ghost, right? Yeah, he's just a sheet ghost, so just put it on Mimikyu. End of story. Stop bothering me. Casper, I guess we didn't come across this in the original video, because I mentioned that at the end of the original video. I'm like, I'm surprised we've never seen Casper before. Well, Casper shows up sometimes, I guess. I don't have a problem with it. I actually feel like it's kind of an underrated nickname, but also still a nickname I probably would never use ever. Havoc is another Binding of Isaac Bayonetta style nickname. You can throw into just about anyone. I spell mine Havik based off the Mortal Kombat character. I put that on my Mimikyu because he breaks his neck. Wednesday is going to be based off Wednesday Addams. I don't really think there's going to be any confusion with that one. I like Goosebumps. That's not a bad one. More leaning into the spooky thematic, you could put that as a generic ghost or dark type nickname. They're pretty much interchangeable. Put that on whoever you think would fit it. Big Boo, or just Boo alternatively. Those are another ones that I think would actually not the worst choice for like Misdreavus, Mismagius. This was in the original video and I talked about Nevermore. Since then, yeah, I mean, technically Corviknight existed, but Corviknight is what I personally use for Nevermore, and I feel like quite a few people kind of leaned in that direction, so I feel like that's going to be a better choice there. But I'm willing to bet, yeah, in August 2012, that kind of didn't exist yet, so it was a little more forgivable. But personally, going to put Nevermore over there. You can do what you want. I can't stop you. Soul Sister, I think, was also here? Yeah, Soul Sister. Yeah, that's another good joke. I like that one. Okay, we've reached the bottom. I'll admit I kind of got a little liberal with my choices. Admittedly, I also haven't written shit down, but I know there's a lot of good stuff. And this video right here is 9 minutes of good stuff because Mismagius has some good shit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the comments right here. Okay, so looking at Chincho, first off, a reminder, you can go ahead and, like, look back at some old Pokemon for some new names, because Odyssey didn't exist when Mismagius and Misdreavus came out, so you got some new material to work with. Well, looking at that also kind of made me think of, like, Gibdos and Redeads, so if that appeals to you, there's some ideas. Misfortune, Misery, generic names, that'll work. Gruntilda, Banjo-Kazooie. Alright, so I don't really have I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like you think about it and you're like, nah, that's too obvious, everyone's gonna do it, so you kind of just, like, mentally check it off your mind. Even though that's literally the first time we've seen Gruntilda in this episode. We might have seen it on some other Pokemon, I don't fucking know. But it's not a bad idea, and it stands out and is different enough. It's just one of those things where it's like, in my mind, it just feels too obvious for me to use. We're going to take a look at Flutter main, see what else comes up for that. I don't like this because this hurts my head to look at. It's like the word rhythm, where it's like, how are you supposed to spell this shit? You can't just have two Y's like that. Now, this might be a little bit redundant, because I know we've seen some Transformer stuff recently. I think it might have been like Hisui or Paldea. It's been pretty recent. And I remember being like, G1 or something like that. You should include that in the name. But this motherfucker right here also has G1. So I don't know. Maybe it doesn't work as well. I'm not a Transformers guy. I'm not going to say Swoop is bad. I don't think Swoop G1 is bad. But when I saw Swoop, the first thing I thought of was Sir Swoop or Swoopers from the Mario series. Which I'm going to be like, bat. That's not a bat. I'm totally fine with Evanescence. I don't think we've ever seen Evanescence before as a nickname, and it's a nice name. It's just kind of a shame that it's like the band I feel is kind of memey, because it's like Amy Lee's hot. Bring Me to Life was a fucking banger when it came out, but it just kind of fell into that category of just being a joke, so it kind of sucks to feel like the band's ruined. But if you can look past that, Evanescence is a good choice. You could put on quite a few Pokemon. I think Meloetta is one of the first ones that comes to mind for me because music, but you could do whatever the hell you want with it. Well, we technically didn't see Grim Shady in this episode, so sure, why not? We'll highlight that one. There's another joke for ghost type Pokemon. I suppose you could also use it for dark types as well, if that strikes your fancy. Now, I know this comment is basically just like meant to be like kind of trolling, but if you are playing a game prior to Gen 9, you could technically, like if you're playing, Gens 1, 2 through 4, 2 through 3 in specific, I guess, and you got a Misdreavus, right? A Misdreavus. You could just name it Fluttermane as kind of a reference to its Paradox form in Gen 9, almost like a time traveling thing. I don't necessarily think it works backwards, but I think if you're playing, an earlier game before that exists, it feels like kind of like referencing the code name. I hope that makes sense, and I hope it doesn't sound too stupid, but that was what I was thinking about reading that, was it was like, well, why don't you name it? Why not just name your Hariyama Iron Hands? It won't possibly be confusing. Cool, I don't get it. I don't know what the fuck it's talking about, but if you scroll down, it's like, I wonder how many people like this without actual context of the name. And based also down here, needs to be the fucking bleached after seeing Twitter today. Like, maybe something went down. I don't fucking know. But it went over my head, so answers on a postcard. What the hell just happened? Flutter made nicknames Rigid Endoscope, Sinoscope. Just want to highlight real quick, this one right here is telling me, no, don't go there. So, the My Little Pony forums, I'm assuming that's what it stands for. Yeah, that's it. Friendship is magic. Alright, well, we're not looking at Flutter Love or Flutter... Oh my gosh. Is this favorite affectionate nicknames? This is for Flutter Shy. Flutter Shy, Flutter Main. Okay. Thanks, Google. Thanks, Google! That's it. We've reached the bottom. We've looked at everything. It took a fucking turn for sure right there at the end. Holy hell. Alright, we're going to go ahead and bring up the comments real quick. Arcane, because Ancient Magic. Missy. Missy's not particularly anything. I think I did see like Missy D or something like that. And I was like, because Missy Elliott. Missy... Is that it? I don't know. That was just where my fucking brain went to, and I just chose to ignore it. I didn't write anything down, but I honestly kind of just feel like the video speaks for itself, and there was plenty of good stuff on its own for me to not really feel the need to recap it, if that makes sense. Like, Banshee was a choice for sure, but I don't feel like it was nearly as plentiful as it was in the original recording. And then from there, Cackle, Teehee, fucking I don't remember anything else, because those were the ones I came up with, and that was pretty much it. Did we even look at... We probably looked at Pokemon.net. Hermione, Bellatrix, Dementor. Dementor I'm actually quite proud of. I feel like there was something else in that tangent that was pretty good around there. But that's that. Any other ideas and suggestions you have, feel free to put in the comments below. Give a thumbs up to ones you think are good. Also, because I haven't been saying this, or at least I didn't in the last video, make sure to distinguish the names between Fluttermane and Mismagius, because it might not work on the other. I don't know, Misdreavus and Fluttermane definitely will. Mismagius, not so sure. Yeah, thumbs up, read comments, post comments, let us know what you'd use or recommend. I want to end this video by saying I'm really glad that they chose to give Fluttermane the exact same shiny color scheme that corresponds to regular Misdreavus Mismagius. I like that detail. Amoongus Brute Bonnet also does this, and I can't think of anyone else, but I think Volcarona Slitherwing also does this. I just like that small detail. They just make it correspond and it just fits naturally, and I think that's the correct choice to do. Now, some of them, like let's say Iron Bundle, that doesn't correspond, but I still think Iron Bundle looks rad as hell.